Now children, just now we have discussed a sheet. Home is the happiest place in the world. And we also discussed the situation, the feeling of homeless children. Didn't we? Yeah. After that we have in our unit 2, reading a story. An extract from a big novel. Novel is Oliver Twist, written by Charles Dickens, a great writer. So from that novel, small piece is taken, small piece is extracted, and it is named as Oliver Asks for More. Yeah? Yeah. Because, and in this particular story, we have good words, great words, and many nouns are there which you may not be familiar with, and to make you familiar, I have pictures on the board. Pictorial representation. You may understand it better. Okay, we have a word board. Board, not a board which we write on. Okay, we have members of board members. We call it board. Yeah, and we have the members sitting over there, and we have a high chair, a bigger chair. That means the leader of those members. Then we have a word basin. Basin is a small bowl in which we put our food. Then we have a gruel. Gruel is either Java or just now I said Ganji or Java. Java, onion you know, bread you know. And we have a ladle, a spoon used for pouring out the liquids in the plates, from the bowl to the plates. Okay, that is a ladle. Generally these cook will hold that. You might have seen your hostels, right? Yeah, we have a copper bowl. That's a bowl in which this gruel is prepared. And we have an apron. Apron is a special clothing or special stitching worn, which we wear for special purposes. Kitchen, apron is there. For doctors, we have apron. For lawyers, we have a black apron. Okay, that's the apron. And let me tell you about this gruel, onion and bread, the system. And we have a word home here. Okay, this is a home, a sort of hostel. But as we learned, home is the happiest place in the world. But this is the worst place in the world. The worst place for orphans. Why? You have that in your story. One point I'll tell you and you will understand. In this hostel, in this home, the children, the orphan children are given 3 times thin gruel, Java, just Java. And onion, once in 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, only 1 onion. Wow. And bread, now and then, rarely, whenever there is a festival. We in India have a lot of festivals, but in that Britain, London, we don't have many festivals, right? Once, and that too little, rarely. But every day, 3 times, gruel, thin gruel, chikka, not thick, thin gruel. And you can understand that this home is the worst place in this world for the orphans. Let me tell you one important point. The main purpose of this home, the main theme of this home is orphans should die. Orphans should die either outside or in this home, gradually. In this home they are giving food, but little they are starving the children, and gradually they are killing them. They are not killing, they are dying. Right? So that's the situation. And we have 5 characters in this. Oliver Twist, our main hero. Okay, a tall boy, there is one character, and we have Mr. Bumble. He is the Beadle, an officer, right? Officer of this home. And Mr. Limpkins, he is a man who sits in this high chair, leader of that. Then the cook, a big man, big fat belly, right? You can understand that these people are eating, but they are not feeding. And even the board members, if you see in the story, everyone fat, everyone fat, everyone fat. And it's very much clear that they eat, but they don't let others eat. Okay? You must pray the Almighty to keep the elders good, to help those people who are giving you food. Isn't that? You should pray every day. And you know, why are you brought here? You know? He says, no, sir. You are brought here for being educated. We will teach you. We will teach you how to trade. Okay? Pray every day. What all work is given, do it. And eat well. Go. Be happy. Then the board members went to the workplace, to the house, to the home. And they saw that these children are playing. These children are eating. These children are getting entertained. And they are getting full meals. Then they made a decision. They discussed and made a decision. Only thin gruel should be given 3 times. Onion once in 2 weeks. And little bread now and then, whenever it is festive mood. And the board members left. And the cook and Mr. Bumble are very much sincere. They did as the board member said. For 6 months, same thin gruel, only 1 basin full, not more. And you know, these children would eat it within a minute they would eat it, and they would clean it with their fingers, and always clean. The basin was always clean, and they used to look at the copper bowl. Will he give more? Will he give more? Will he give more? They were eagerly waiting, because every day they are hungry. Every time they are hungry. Though they are given just a basin full. That to thin gruel. And these are children, growing children. Their appetite is more. Once they were like this, now they are like this. They have shrunken. And many died already. The count has decreased, and the strength has lessened. Okay? They have shrunk. But they are given only this much to eat. And then one day they could not control themselves. They could not hold this one. And one day they formed a council. All the boys gathered there. They decided, we feel hungry. We want more. We want more. Then there was a tall boy who said, yes, every day I want extra bowl. If you don't give me extra bowl, I will eat the boy beside me. I don't know. Some night I may get up and I may eat him. Give me extra bowl of gruel. Now all the children gathered. They decided, how should we ask the cook? How should we ask the cook? Who should ask the cook? Who should ask the cook? Then they got an idea. They cast some lots. Lots means lottery. We put it on slips and we throw it. They marked 1 paper. And they gave it. And everybody took a paper. And only in 1 paper there was a mark. And who is the lucky man? Who is the lucky man? Oliver Twist. Everyone saw, tomorrow you have to ask for more. He said, okay, I will try. And the next day, the cook came, and as usual, he prepared the gruel and he served it. And the next moment, all the children ate it, and they kept quiet. Now, everybody looked at Oliver. Some nudged him. Go and ask. Oliver, after cleaning, he went slowly to the cook. Can you give me some more? What? More? Even the woman standing beside, They were astonished. And there was a stick, as I said, wait, ladle. And he hit it with that ladle. You fellow, you ask for more. Call Mr. Bumble. Who is this? Yeah, call Mr. Bumble. And Bumble came running. He heard the news, and the same moment he went to the board members. And he told, sir, sorry to tell. Oliver asked for more. What? Come again. Sir, Oliver asked for more gruel. Hey. First, get set. First, think what you are telling. Now tell. Sir, that boy, Oliver, asked for one more basin of gruel. Then these board members all felt astonished. Mind block. Never anyone ever dared to ask, who is this boy? If such boy is there in our home, then others will also get that courage. No, this should not happen. So what they did? They just asked him to put him in one room. And Oliver was thrown into one room. And the next day, a bill was there. A poster. For sale. Whoever takes a boy from the home for apprentice will be given 5 pounds. What? It means whoever will take a boy from this home will be given money. They should not pay. We will pay you. Take this boy away. Now, Oliver will also be happy or not? You should decide. Okay? You should decide. If you want, approach me or go for Oliver Twist novel. In that, you will have these details, and in this, you will have your next story. Okay? So, in one way, it is fortunate for him. In other way, unfortunate? That's a big doubt. Let us see. Children, let's go for a reading. Oliver asks for more. This is an extract from the novel Oliver Twist, written by the British novelist Charles Dickens, 1812 to 1870. It is the story of an orphan boy named Oliver, who is brought to a children's home. Mr. Bumble walked on with long strides. Little Oliver, firmly grasping his gold-laced cuff, trotted beside him. Oliver had not been within the walls of the workhouse a quarter of an hour when Mr. Bumble informed him that the board had said he was to appear before it forthwith. Not having a very clear defined notion of what a live board was, Oliver was rather astonished by this information and was not quite certain whether he ought to laugh or cry. He had no time to think about the matter. Mr. Bumble asked Oliver to follow him into a large whitewashed room where 8 or 10 fat gentlemen were sitting round a table. At the top of the table, seated in an armchair rather higher than the rest, was a particularly fat gentleman with a very round red face. "Bow to the board," said Bumble. Oliver brushed away 2 or 3 tears that were lingering in his eyes, and seeing no board but the table, bowed to that. "What is your name, boy?" said the gentleman in the high chair. Oliver was frightened at the sight of so many gentlemen, which made him tremble. The beadle gave him a tap on his back with his cane, which made him cry. "Boy," said the gentleman in the high chair, "listen to me. You know you are an orphan, I suppose." "What's that, sir?" inquired poor Oliver. "That boy is a fool. I thought he was," said the gentleman in the white waistcoat. "Hush," said the gentleman who had spoken first. "You know, you have got no father or mother. and that you were brought up by the parish, weren't you?" "Yes, sir," replied Oliver, weeping bitterly. "What are you crying for?" inquired the gentleman in the white waistcoat. "I hope you say your prayers every night," said another gentleman in a gruff voice, "and pray for the people who feed you and take care of you like a Christian." "Yes, sir," stammered the boy. "Well, you have come here to be educated and taught a useful trade," said the red-faced gentleman in the high chair. "So, you will begin to pick okra tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock," added the surly one in the white waistcoat. Oliver bowed low, directed by the beadle, and was then hurried away to a large ward, where on a rough, hard bed he sobbed himself to sleep. Poor Oliver, as he lay sleeping, unconscious of everything around him, the board had taken a decision that would change the course of his life. The members of this board were very wise and philosophical men. As they turned their attention to the workhouse, they discovered that it was the regular place of public entertainment for the poor classes. It was a place where they had breakfast, dinner, tea, and supper all the year round and free, where it was all play and no work. This was really a shocking state of affair. They were of the opinion that the poor should be given only two alternatives: either to starve quickly outside the workhouse or gradually inside the house. With this view, they decided that the inmates of the workhouse would be issued 3 meals of thin gruel a day with an onion twice a week. For the first 6 months after Oliver Twist was moved in, the system was in full operation. As a result, during this period, the number of workhouse inmates got smaller, and the inmates themselves shrank in size and became thinner. The room in which the boys were fed was a large stone hall with a big copper bowl at one end, out of which the master, dressed in an apron for the purpose and assisted by 1 or 2 women, ladled the gruel at mealtime. Of this festive composition, each boy had 1 basinful and no more, except on occasions of great public rejoicing, when he had 2 ounces and a quarter of bread besides. The basins never wanted washing. The boys polished them with the spoons till they shone again. When they had performed this operation, they would sit straight at the copper bowl with such eager eyes as if they could have devoured the big bowl itself and everything in it. At the same time, they sucked their fingers most carefully to catch up any stray splashes of gruel that might have stuck thereon. Boys have generally excellent appetite. Oliver Twist and his companions suffered the tortures of slow starvation for 3 months. At last, they got so voracious and wild with hunger that one boy, who was tall for his age and hadn't been used to that sort of thing, for his father had kept a small cook shop, hinted darkly to his companions that unless he had another basin of gruel per day, he was afraid he might some night happen to eat the boy who slept next to him, who happened to be a weakly youth of tender age. He had a wild, hungry eye, and they believed him. A council was held, lots were cast as to who should walk up to the master after supper that evening and ask for more. And it fell to Oliver Twist. The evening arrived. The boys took their places. The master in his cook's uniform stationed himself at the copper. His assistants ranged themselves behind him. The gruel was served out. The gruel disappeared. The boys whispered to each other and winked at Oliver, while his next neighbor nudged him. Child as he was desperate with hunger and reckless with misery. He rose to the table and, advancing to the master, basin and spoons in hand, said, somewhat alarmed at his own courage, "Please, sir, I want some more." The master was a fat, healthy man, but he turned very pale. He gazed in stupefied astonishment on the small rebel for some seconds, and then clung for support to the copper. The assistants were paralyzed with wonder, the boys with fear. Said the master at length in a faint voice. "Please, sir," replied Oliver, "I want some more." The master aimed a bowl at Oliver's head with the ladle and shrieked aloud for the beadle. The board was sitting in solemn meeting when Mr. Bumble rushed into the room in great excitement, and addressing the gentleman in the high chair said, "Mr. Limskin, I beg your pardon, sir. Oliver Twist has asked for more." There was a general start. Horror was depicted on every countenance. "For more?" said Mr. Limkins. "Compose yourself, Bumble, and answer me distinctly. Do I understand that he asked for more after he had eaten the supper allotted by the board?" "He did, sir," replied Bumble. "That boy will be hung," said the gentleman in the white waistcoat. "I know that boy will be hung." Nobody contradicted the prophetic gentleman's opinion. An excited discussion took place. Oliver was ordered into instant confinement, and a bill was next morning pasted on the outside of the gate, offering a reward of £5 to anybody who would take Oliver Twist off the hands of the parish. In other words, £5 and Oliver Twist was offered to any man or woman who wanted an apprentice to any trade, business, or calling. Dear children, we have a wonderful topic today, and that topic is tag questions. Many times we also say question tags. Now, what is this? A tag is a part of a sentence which is used at the end for information or confirmation. Generally in our movies, for a movie name we have a tag also. Name with a line. We call it tag. For our jeans pant, when we buy, for our dresses when we buy, we have a tag. The similar manner, for a question, for a statement we have a question tag. It's not a question in fact, but a tag for information or confirmation. It's not a pure question. Got it? Now in this we have two types. One is positive tag, another one is negative tag. Let's check. Let's see. You are an orphan, aren't you? He is the cook, isn't he? What we found? Negative. Fine. You aren't an orphan, are you? He isn't the cook, is he? No negative. No negative. Big question. Here we have negatives. Here we don't have negatives. Reason. We don't have negative here, but we have a negative. Okay. We have a negative, but we don't have a negative. So in the first part, positive. Second part, negative. Positive, negative. Here, first part negative, second part positive. Negative, positive. Okay? So in the first part, if we have a negative, in the second part, no negative. In the first part, we don't have a negative, we have a negative. Is it okay? If you observe, you will understand it. Negative tag, we put a comma and then we write this one with a question mark. You, the same you, same he, right? You, the same you, he, the same he. When there is not, we call it negative. If not is not there, then we call it positive. Am I okay? Am I clear to you? Right. Now children, for a better understanding, here I have a few questions. Let me see if you can answer. Let's check. He is cooking, question mark. They are reading, ting 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 ting, question mark. I have the money, ting 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 ting, question mark. She wasn't here, ting 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 ting, question mark. You weren't asleep, ting 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 ting, question mark. I hadn't shouted, ding 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 ding, question mark. Now how would you solve it? Let me help you a little. He, so he, they, so they, I, she, you, I. Half part is done. Now another half part, the rest of the part. Is, are, because these are helping verbs, we use the same helping verb. Have, was, were, had. I took the helping verbs also, because helping verbs are there, we have to take the help. But little more, and the most fundamental thing we have to remember, and the fundamental thing is positive, negative. Let's check. Positive, so let's make it negative. Not. Positive, make it negative. Not. Positive, make it negative. Not. As simple as that. Similarly, negative, so let it be positive. Negative, let it be positive. Negative, let it be like that. That's it. So this part is somewhat easy for us, but coming to few other questions where we don't have a helping verb, what to do? And you know, do, does, did, we have to use. Let's check. She reads. How would I? She, they. It. He. We. I. That part we do it. Now what to use? Does, do or did? Let us check did. When to use did? If the part is in past tense. Reads present, paint present, bites present, counted past. So let us write did. Didn't, did, past tense. So let's write did. Applied, past tense. So let's write did. Okay. But fundamental thing we have to remember, positive, negative. Let's see. Counted, positive. So let's put negative. Didn't, negative. So let's make it positive only. Applied, positive. We have to make it negative. Let's make it negative. Didn't. That's it. Now coming to this one. We have to use do or does. When to use does? For he, she, it. Let's check. She. D-O-E-S, does. They, it. So let us make it does. These are in present tense only. That's why we have this complication. They paint because they, so we use do. Okay. Now the fundamental thing, positive, negative. Reads, positive. So let us make it negative here. Paint, positive. So let us make it negative here. Not, okay. Bites, it's positive. So let us make it negative. She reads, doesn't she? They paint, don't they? It bites, doesn't it? He counted, didn't he? We didn't apply, did we? I applied, didn't I? So that's the strategy to be followed. So ultimately, for question tags, the fundamental thing is positive, negative. Always check it. Number 2, we have a helping verb, use the same helping verb. Number 3, we don't have a helping verb, then we have to use do, does or did. Now when to use this did? If we have a past tense. When to use do, does? If we have a present tense. Now again, when to use does? If we have he, she, it. That's it. As simple as that. The poem. For oh, say the children, we are weary and we cannot run or leap. If we cared for any meadows, it were merely to drop down in them and sleep. Our knees tremble sorely in the stooping. We fall upon our faces trying to go, and underneath our heavy eyelids drooping, the redder's flower would look as pale as snow. For all day we drag our burden tiring through the cold, dark underground. Or all day we drive the wheels or iron in the factories round and round. Children, let me read the poem once again for you. For oh, say the children, we are weary and we cannot run or leap. If we cared for any meadows, it were merely to drop down in them and sleep. Our knees tremble sorely in the stooping. We fall upon our faces trying to go, and underneath our heavy eyelids drooping, the redder's flower would look as pale as snow. For all day we drag our burden tiring through the cold, dark underground, or all day we drive the wheels or iron in the factories round and round. Now children, before we go for understanding the poem, let me read a few things about the poet. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, 1806 to 1861, was a great poet of English language. She published a collection of poems, sonnets from the Portuguese, Aurora Leigh, the Seraphim, and other poems. She married Robert Browning, a famous English poet, and moved to Italy. Most of her poems deal with human emotions. The poet expresses the thoughts of the children. The children speak about their miserable situation. They say 3 things. 1. They say that they are always tired. If at all they happen to see a meadow, they would not run or not leap, but they would simply drop down and sleep. They say that their knees pain severely as they have to unload the heavy coal, and the slightest carelessness would result to their falling on their face. They also say that their eyes are always drooping. Even a colorful red flower would look colorless, as they are out of their senses because of lack of sleep. So altogether, the children say three things: that they are always tired and they don't want to play, they just want to sleep. They say that their knees pain a lot as they have severe work to do, and in case they find any carelessness in themselves, they simply fall on their faces. And the third thing, they say that their eyes are always drooping because of lack of sleep.
Children as laborers is inhuman.
Welcome back, children. Today I have a great topic for you, a great discourse, a great writing skill, a great comprehension skill. That is note making. What does it mean? A big paragraph would be given, or a story would be given. You have to read it, you have to understand it, and you should be able to reproduce the whole story or the whole paragraph. You are not asked to write the whole story again. You would be asked to write what is the exact story. And for that, you have to first settle down, think over, prepare some idea units. That means the whole story you have to divide in 2 or 3 parts. Then under each part you can further give more information. A big thing you are analyzing, putting it into 2 or 3 paragraphs, 2-3 points, and each point, under each heading, you may add few points. You will get a summary of it. You will get a shortcut of the whole paragraph. You will get a gist of the whole paragraph. So whenever anyone reads your notes, they should understand the whole concept. Now, what is the process? How should we write or make the notes? Now, before telling that, let me tell you what is the purpose of note making. We prepare notes for reviewing, for connecting, and for synthesizing, further dividing. So it becomes easy to understand the story, to understand a big paragraph by going through the notes. You can have a big review. You can have an easy review of the whole story. You can get proper connections, what is next, what is next. And you can also synthesize it, you can understand it further. That's the purpose of note making. So all of you should have the ability of making a note. Now, what is the process? In what way should we proceed? There is a format for that. Let us concentrate. Whenever you write anything, you should put a title, right? One single line. And then that title could be divided into 2 or 3 parts. Main point 1, main point 2, main point 3. Okay. Now under each main point you can further put again some points. You can add some other points. We call them sub points. Sub point. Okay. We have sub point. We have sub point. Then in the third main point also we have a sub point. We have a sub point. Okay. So it's not that only 2 sub points you have to put. Nothing like that. You can make it 3 or 4 as according to the requirement. Then under the sub points we can further give some other points and we call it sub points, right? So we have a main point. Under that we took one sub point, another sub point. In the second sub point we have 2 more points, sub point, sub point. Okay. Then we went to second main point. In that we took one sub point, another sub point. Here we did not add sub points, not necessary, so we did not put. Then again in third main point we took one sub point. Under one sub point we took just another sub point according to the requirement. Then in second sub point we don't have any sub points. That's because it's the requirement, not necessary, we did not take. Okay, this is the process. But we should remember when we put the main point, see that 1, 2, 3 are put. If you put a sub point, we put ABCs. If you put sub points, you can put small 1, small 2s, Roman numbers, small Romans, or capital A, 1 and small a's. Anything you can follow, but follow a proper format, right? So the main when we prepare the notes, we take the title, under that 2 or 3 main points, under each point 2 or 3 sub points. If required, under sub points, sub points. Fine? Then it becomes easy for others to understand. It becomes easy for you to review that. But sometimes some people add a list of abbreviations or contracted forms. Because the whole thing we are not putting it in big sentences. We are just giving 2-3 words. Main idea words we are presenting there. Okay? Sometimes when we present, we don't write the full word. We write the abbreviated forms. Okay? As we have CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation. Physical Education Teacher, we write it PET. Okay? That's the abbreviated form. And sometimes laboratories there we simply put lab. Okay? Hadn't, HADNT, contracted forms. Okay? If you put that also, it becomes easy for others to understand your notes properly. So altogether what I mean to say is, this is a wonderful writing skill, a great discourse. You develop this, it will be useful for you today, tomorrow and further. I hope you understood what a note making is. Thank you. Wonderful day, dear children. Today we have a super topic, reading C of Unit 2. You know very well. You already know note making. I have taught you and you have learned already that note making really helps you a lot. And I ask you to make a note of a small paragraph. Isn't that? Now, taking note making as an help, let me complete reading C. And the title goes like this: Reaching the Unreached. Okay? And I have told you that we have to put a title. For note making, we have to put a title, then we have to write the main point. Here we have number 1, main point, 2, main point, No. So altogether we have two main points. Main point 1, main point 2. Then under main point we have two subtopics, subpoints. Under main point 2 we have three subpoints. Okay? Now if I further analyze I find that under main point 1 subpoint A I have three subpoints. Under B subpoint three subpoints. In the same manner in main point 2 I have three subpoints. Under subpoint A two subpoints, subpoint B two subpoints, and under the second subpoint I have two subpoints. Okay, then later on we have the third subpoint, and the third subpoint four subpoints. At the end we have abbreviations also, because now and then I have used abbreviations, and in order to make you understand what I really meant I have the full forms here. Okay, so be mindful of that also. So altogether this note making will help you in understanding the reading C of unit 2. Let us check if we really understand. Let us see if note making really helps us. Shall we? Let's go for the reading. Reaching the unreached. Romesh was 14 years old. He left his widowed mother and three younger sisters back in Bihar. He took up a long travel of hundreds of miles to find a new fortune. He reached Hyderabad, one of the main cities in India. On reaching the city, he found that the streets were not paved with gold. Finding a job was not an easy task. Cursed by hunger, he joined a group of rag pickers. He started working early in the morning and toiled until late evening, only to earn a mere ₹10 a day. Life was not a dream for him. Luckily, he got a helping hand from the child line when some rescuer called 1098 helpline. Romesh is now one of the beneficiaries of Andhra Pradesh state-based project for the elimination of child labor. Many such children fall to similar fate due to domestic violence and abject poverty. One such example was Shanti, a 9-year-old kid. She was taken out of the school by her parents and sent to Hyderabad to work in a middle-class home. She suffered all day long, spending her energy on cooking, mopping, cleaning and washing clothes. Worse was to come. The owners locked her up in a tiny room when they went out. She stayed alone, waiting for the day to pass. She recalled her memories with friends at school and she wept. As a direct result of awareness campaigns, the neighbors informed the child labor enforcement team. She was rescued and is now placed in a girls' transit home. Who knows how many such unreached are waiting to be rescued. Child Rights and You, CRY, is an organization that believes the children are citizens and they have their own rights. At CRY, they do not believe in charity, nor do they run schools or orphanages. Instead, they partner some basic level organizations working for children, their parents and communities. CRY's role is that of a bridge between child development organization and people working for marginalized children. They gather the support, money and time of the Indians around the world and thousands of field workers across India who struggle to enrich the lives of children. It has freed more than 1 lakh children from hunger, exploitation and illiteracy in more than 13,000 villages and slums. The organization has successfully prevented child labor in 648 villages across the nation and liberated 1152 villages from child marriages. It also has 21,678 out of school children in its account who have now joined schools. These children are into the childhood with all due opportunities of life. Now children, compare the reading C with the note making given here. Then you will understand that note making does matter.